Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inspiring Canada. My name is Colton. This is Kim from Empowered Life. I hope I got that right.
You did.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about addiction, relapse, and recovery.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this, Colton. We both have different, I guess, experiences, or we come at this from different angles, and everybody does. Everybody, I think, either directly or indirectly, has been impacted by addictions. And for you, I know it's your experience personally. For me, it's more family members, although. Um, I will definitely say that my belief is everybody has some sort of addiction. I follow a lot of Dr. Gabor Mate's take on that, addiction is anytime we constantly go to something to avoid dealing with our pain or our discomforts, right? So whether it's alcohol, drugs, food, shopping, Netflix, whatever it is. Um, but as we know, drugs and alcohol as the vehicle to escape pain is very common. And it's has a really negative impact on not only the individual, but the families, right? And it's something that's such a huge concern in our society today. And I'm super grateful to connect with you here and to help educate or inspire people if we can. So I know you have quite a story with your own personal experience and going through recovery and then an experience with relapse. And I know
Hmm.
we would all love to hear your story on that and anything that you can share.
Yeah, for sure. I'll get started. Um, so for those who don't know me, I became an alcoholic in January of 2020 and started heavily drinking for quite a few months and finally had a mental breakdown and ended up going to rehab for 6 months to work on my mental health and addiction, which was super helpful. I sobered up the first time May 14th, 2020. And yeah, I went through rehab and it was great. Um, after I left, I used all the skills that I learned, and I didn't. I mean, for the longest time, I didn't relapse. Recently, on the 12th of February, I did have a relapse. It was quite an experience for me. I, hmm, when I relapsed, I had so many emotions and I've never experienced them before. Like just a regular craving I can deal with, but that craving was so intense for me. I just felt like I had no self-control. So I ended up drinking that night and the next day I thought it'd be fine. And, having an alcoholic mind, I went back to, oh yeah, I'm gonna have one more drink and that will be fine and I'll stop. So I guess like leading up to my recovery, I should be going back to AA meetings. I haven't been yet, but I know that's something I should be doing, yeah. And I hear you have some family members that have experience. Would you like to share that?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. First of all, thank you for sharing a bit of your story, and I have some questions for you when you're done. But yes, I
For
have
sure.
several family members with history of trauma, some PTSD, alcoholism. My youngest son, Tristan, he passed away at 22 years old from overdose, and that really led me to what I do today. Facilitating grief recovery and supporting people. I've been studying trauma and addictions pretty heavily for the last almost 2 years now, and I have found purpose in and healing in my own journey. And it's been so insightful. And I really realized that we are just so uneducated and unaware on emotional health and trauma and addictions, and there's a lot of stigma. And so that's why I do what I do. So thank you for letting me share that. And I just wondered if I could ask you a question, Colton. Um, you said you had started drinking heavily in January of 2020, I think it was. Do you know or do you recognize what it was that kind of led to that?
Honestly, the first, like, I started drinking in November just out of boredom, on and off, like maybe once or twice a week. And then in January, I just started getting really bored and I started drinking more because just the amount that I was drinking wasn't enough. And I guess by March, that is when I really started to notice that my PTSD was the main cause of my drinking. I was having a lot of like flashbacks and like emotional breakdowns and everything.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So, your PTSD, is that's something, obviously, you had some events happen in your life prior, maybe in childhood or
Yeah,
as an,
definitely in my
okay.
childhood.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've definitely learned is all addiction roots from trauma. Or,
Yeah,
there are cases, I guess, where, with the opioid crisis, there can be addiction through, substances or drugs through, treatment for physical or medical conditions. Addiction can happen that way, but the majority of most addictions, even if it's just shopping and binging Netflix and those sort of things, it all roots to some sort of trauma or, something we're trying to avoid, right? And
so this trauma that you speak of, like, can it, like, what kind of trauma is it?
good question. It's interesting because I think we have a big misunderstanding on trauma and even grief, right? I think when a lot of people hear the word trauma or they think about trauma, automatically people think of maybe first responders, and they also think of people who have had, violent acts, physical abuse, sexual abuse, that sort of thing. And while that is all very true, there are so many other events that can create trauma. Um, even our basic human needs not being met. So the need to be heard, the need to belong, the need to feel safe, the need to be loved. When these needs aren't met, this is trauma. And there are times where all of us in our childhood have experienced this. And, even things like witnessing a car accident or being in a car accident, that can create a lot of trauma. And what I've learned through a lot of my studies is that, the first 3 years of our life is the most important in helping us to develop the skills to be able to cope and to self-soothe and to be able to manage unpleasant situations, because we're all going to have them, right? Life, it happens. Life is really just about experiencing a lot of good things and a lot of not so good things. And I think for most of us, we aren't taught how to deal with the unpleasant things, with the
Definitely.
the losses and the grief and the just the different experiences that we have that aren't pleasant. And we're actually taught avoid and distract, um, and that kind of continues. And so we have this trauma and this grief that we've all been carrying that we haven't dealt with, that we don't even recognize we have, right? And for some people, a way to not deal with it is to just keep busy, or to you know work out at the gym twice a day, or eat or shop or gamble, or it's turned to the drugs or alcohol, right? And we get stuck in that cycle. And we only know what we know. And so what we know in our mind is right or natural. And until we learn otherwise, we don't know anything else. But what I've learned through my own experiences and through a lot of the trainings and my research that I've done is, um, we have a very skewed perception on a lot of this stuff in life, and we have a lot to learn. And I really believe that, true healing comes from dealing with the root cause, right? So, especially with addictions to drugs and alcohol, We need to get to the root cause of what led to that in order to really recover, right? And relapse is very common. There's slips, there's lapses, there's relapses. It's all part of the recovery journey, right? And no matter whether you're recovering from drugs or alcohol, or if you even don't have an addiction, but you're recovering from trauma, it becomes a lifelong journey. It doesn't just happen by taking, a weekend course, or going to a few AA meetings, or by reading a really inspirational book. I mean, these are all great things and important things, but you have to really do the work every single day. It's about changing how you think about life and how you approach life. Um, because, like I said, more things are going to happen. So we need to approach them in whole new ways so that we can better manage the unpleasant things that happen to us in life. Does that make
I
sense?
so agree. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm still learning so much, but I feel very grateful, very blessed for all the experiences and the learning that I have had, because it's brought so much awareness and insight, and it's allowed me to help so many other people with their traumas and grief, and even recovery from addiction. So, um, yeah, I'm very grateful for what I went through, because it allowed me to, have a better understanding of my own healing journey, and then to share with others.
Yeah, your experience is quite the story for sure.
It's ongoing for all of us.
Yep.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to share, maybe about moving forward? Where do you think your biggest challenge is?
Hmm.
Or what do you think led to the relapse that you had, or the slip? We'll call it a slip.
What led to the relapse? Uh, just having more and more cravings pop up. Um, in the moment of the relapse, I was thinking about alcohol and the outcome, and like why I shouldn't drink, and like the pros and the cons of it. And I was thinking about it for like an hour, and I was trying not to. I tried everything that I could. Like I reached out to people, I talked to people, I distracted myself, but I guess it just wasn't enough in that moment.
What kind of distraction tools do you use?
For my cravings, like in treatment, I learned that 478 breathing can help.
Mm.
Um, Talking to a sponsor, talking to a friend you trust. Um, for me, like a distraction would be volunteering. That one's a really good one for me. Um, Guided meditation. I'm a huge fan of it, and it works for me like pretty much for everything. Um, Going on walks and listening to positive music. Those
Nice.
are the things that I've noticed that help me.
Yeah, for me, meditation too has been a huge part in my healing journey, and it's something that I do every single day, and it's saved my life for sure. And yoga also for me is great, and trauma informed yoga, especially when we have a lot of trauma, we can dissociate completely from our body to not feel
Yeah,
anything. And
definitely.
it's important to come back and reestablish that connection in yoga. Trauma informed yoga is a really great way to do that, right? So that we can feel safe in our bodies again. Do you ever
Hmm.
journal? Journaling is such a great tool as well.
I blog.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, I like to keep up with my blog.
So great.
It's helpful for me and it's helpful for others.
Yeah.
I feel like if people read the real life stuff, then they're more likely to get experiences out of it.
It's also a way to kind of pull our stuff to the surface too, right? That stuff that we've pressed
Yeah,
down and
for sure.
suppressed and avoided. It's a way to kind of bring it to the surface and find some resolution. There's there's kind of, a process we have to go through to really find that completion and the freedom to be able to move forward without bringing all that pain forward with us. But I'm a big believer too. The more tools you can have in your tool belt, the better, right? So
For
that's
sure.
it's fantastic. Yeah, and nature. I love that you said that too. There's something so great about being outside in nature is so healing.
Yeah, like I like to go like recently I've been going on a lot of biking, like bike rides and everything, and listening to music at the same time, and those two are just the greatest mix.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the other things that I do is belief work, and I've done this for a lot of years. I kind of stepped away from a bit because I've been so focused on, learning so much more about trauma and addiction. But I just finished another belief certification or belief clearing certification, and I kind of forgot how easily we are influenced by things we see on TV and even music. It's interesting. And I like that you said I listen to positive music because, the messages that we receive really kind of create our beliefs, right? And this is one thing, especially when it comes to drinking. I mean, we've seen it everywhere for years on TV and in movies, right? The message that, what do you do when you have a bad day at work? You go home and you have a drink, right? We see it everywhere. We just get so conditioned to think, well, that's what you do, right? And it's no wonder we have, so many struggles. Um, and even music, one of the things that was pointed out in the training. This doesn't really have anything to do with addictions, but this was around money blocks. So people who are trying to create financial abundance, but they feel blocked, right? And the example was how songs can create these limiting beliefs. And the example was um, the Rolling Stones song, "You Can't Always Get What You Want," which is a great song. Everybody knows, if you know the words, you sing along all the time. But when you think about it, you're telling yourself that over and over that you can't always get what you want. So you're kind of limiting yourself and you create this belief. So it really made me realize how powerful, music and TV and everything is in creating our belief systems. And, we can end up with these limiting beliefs that can really keep us stuck and prevent us from, experiencing anything better or, reaching anything more. So that's something that I found really fascinating. So
Definitely, that's
pay
cool.
attention to the lyrics of the music you listen to, and listen, the messages that um, you hear on TV. And I actually have this practice that I have clients do where I have them, listen to the story you're telling yourself throughout your days, right? And are you telling yourself you can't, or you're not good enough, or you'll never have that? What are your limiting beliefs? And it's just interesting, the more you can learn about yourself, the more you can understand where you need to heal.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
I find
definitely
it fascinating. And I'd be more than happy to share. I have some free resources that I have a free webinar on trauma. It's about an hour long, just educating. Again, I mentioned we have kind of this small perception of what trauma is, and so I'm bringing in a lot more of what I've learned just to share with people. I think, again, the more we can be um, educated and more aware and have a broader perspective, we can have a deeper understanding of things, and then we can actually, make some changes. So I will share
Hmm.
that with anybody who's interested. There's a link. It's just pre-recorded. You can just access it at any time.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure everyone would love to watch it.
I hope so. I hope it helps. That's like I said, that's my focus right now is it's just trying to support and educate and help as many people as possible. So I'm very grateful to be able to just even have this sharing session with you.
We appreciate you.
Well, and I really appreciate all that you do and for sharing your story. And I think it's so important, for people to hear that they're not alone and they're not the only ones going through struggles, and they're not the only ones, having slips and relapses. It's all part of the journey, and we can't beat ourselves up because every day, every moment is a new opportunity to change or to make a different choice. So, I admire you for all that you're doing and for being so open about your story. And I hope you will continue to share.
Thank you, and definitely I will.
Awesome.
Do you have anything else you'd like to share?
I could talk for hours, but you know what? I'll just leave it at that. And if anybody who is watching does want to get more information or to reach out, I'm always open to connecting on Facebook, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, or reach out through email. Always happy to help and to support in any way.
Can you add those links in the comments below?
I sure can. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Colton. It's been really great connecting with you again. As always, we get to do this every now and then.
For
So I
sure.
appreciate it.
I can't wait to do the next video.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it.
Also, if any of you followers have any ideas on videos, comment below. I'd love to hear them.
Awesome. And great job on your Inspiring Canada page. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope everyone has a great day.
Yeah, have an awesome day, everyone.
Thanks, Colton.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.